Forget everything you've been told about bone broth. Forget the collagen powders. Forget the protein shakes that taste like chalk and cost you $40 a bag. What I'm about to share with you today is something that most doctors, most nutritionists, and certainly most supplement companies do not want you to know because it costs almost nothing. It's sitting in grocery stores right now, and the science behind it is absolutely extraordinary. I'm Dr. Alan Mandell, and in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you 5 foods that don't just slow muscle loss. They actively rebuild muscle, even if you're in your 70s or 80s, even if you feel like your body has already given up on you, because I promise you it hasn't. Now, before I go any further, let me give you a number that stopped me cold when I first read it. A landmark study published by the Journal of the American Medical Association found that sarcopenia, that's the medical term for age-related muscle loss, the condition where your body literally eats its own muscle tissue, affects over 45% of adults over the age of 80 and begins silently as early as age 35. After the age of 60, the average person loses between 3 and 5% of their total muscle mass every single decade if they do nothing about it. And here's the part that keeps me up at night. Researchers at Tufts University found that adults who develop significant sarcopenia are 3 times more likely to fall, 4 times more likely to be hospitalized, and dramatically more likely to lose their independence entirely. This is not a vanity issue. This is a survival issue. And the solution, as you're about to discover, begins at the end of your fork. I want to tease something right now, because if you're the kind of person who sticks around to the end, and I hope you are, item number 1 on this list is something that shocked even me. It's a food that most people over 60 are actively avoiding because they've been told it's bad for them. And it turns out that advice may have cost millions of seniors years of healthy muscle. So stay with me, because that revelation is coming. But first, before we dive into this list, I want to ask you something personal. Drop your age in the comments right now. Are you 60, 65, 72, 80 years old? Tell me your age and tell me one physical thing you want to get back. Whether that's climbing stairs without holding the railing, picking up your grandchildren, or just walking through a parking lot without your legs giving out. I read every single comment on this channel. Every one. Your story matters to me, and it may end up helping someone else who's going through the exact same thing. Now let's get into it. 5 foods ranked from powerful to absolutely extraordinary, starting with number 5. Number 5 is Greek yogurt. And I need you to understand why this is not the same conversation your doctor had with you about dairy. Full-fat Greek yogurt, not the flavored sugar-loaded versions, I'm talking about plain strained Greek yogurt, contains something that most people completely overlook when they think about muscle building. Yes, it has protein. A single cup delivers between 17 and 20 grams of complete protein, meaning it contains all 9 essential amino acids your body cannot make on its own. But the reason Greek yogurt earns a spot on this list isn't just the protein count. It's the specific type of protein it contains and how that protein interacts with an aging body. Here's something I need you to understand about what happens to your muscles after the age of 65. There's a phenomenon called anabolic resistance. And anabolic just means muscle building. What this means is that your muscles become less responsive to the signals that tell them to grow. Imagine you're trying to send a text message, but the signal is weak. The message gets sent, but it barely registers on the other end. That's what's happening inside your muscle tissue as you age. The building signal gets weaker. Greek yogurt helps overcome this because it contains both whey and casein protein. Whey is fast-acting, it floods your bloodstream quickly and triggers immediate muscle protein synthesis, while casein is slow-releasing, meaning it keeps feeding your muscles for 4 to 6 hours after you eat it. A study out of Maastricht University in the Netherlands found that elderly adults who consumed casein protein before bed showed 22% greater overnight muscle protein synthesis compared to those who didn't. Think of it like this. Whey is the morning delivery truck that shows up fast. Casein is the overnight freight service that works while you sleep. You need both, and Greek yogurt gives you both in one food. Beyond the protein, Greek yogurt contains calcium and phosphorus, 2 minerals that are critically involved in the muscle contraction process, and it delivers probiotics that reduce systemic inflammation. And this is crucial for seniors because chronic low-grade inflammation, what scientists call inflammaging, actively degrades muscle tissue. When you reduce that inflammation, you give your muscles a fighting chance to recover and rebuild. Practical tip: eat your Greek yogurt within 45 minutes of any physical activity, even a short walk. Add a tablespoon of ground flaxseed for omega-3s, which amplify the anti-inflammatory effect. Make sure the label says live and active cultures. That's where your probiotic benefit lives. Moving to number 4, and this one surprises almost every patient I mention it to: sardines. I know, you're already making a face. But hear me out, because the research here is genuinely remarkable. And I have patients who have changed their lives by adding this humble little fish to their weekly routine. Let me tell you about Margaret, a 74-year-old retired school teacher from Boca Raton, Florida. When she came to see me, she was struggling to open jars, getting winded on short walks, and her grip strength, which is one of the most powerful predictors of longevity that we have, was in the bottom 20th percentile for her age group. She wasn't interested in powders or supplements. She wanted real food. Within 4 months of adding sardines twice a week, along with some other dietary changes, her grip strength had improved measurably, her energy had noticeably increased, and she told me, and this is the part I remember, she said, "Dr. Mandell, I opened a pickle jar by myself last week and I cried." That's not a small thing. That's independence. Here's why sardines work so powerfully for aging muscle. A single can of sardines, which costs about $1.50, delivers approximately 23 grams of complete protein, 2 grams of omega-3 fatty acids, and something that most people are dangerously deficient in after age 65, vitamin D. Researchers at the University of Birmingham published findings showing that vitamin D deficiency is present in over 70% of adults over 70, and this deficiency is directly linked to accelerated muscle wasting. Vitamin D doesn't just support bones, it activates the receptors inside muscle fibers that allow protein synthesis to occur. Without adequate vitamin D, your muscles literally cannot use the protein you're eating. But the omega-3 content in sardines deserves its own conversation. A study from Washington University School of Medicine found that omega-3 fatty acids directly combat anabolic resistance. Remember that weak signal we talked about, by sensitizing muscle cell membranes to insulin and growth factors. After age 70, your body loses up to 35% of its ability to respond to normal anabolic signals. Omega-3s help restore that sensitivity. They essentially clean the antenna so the signal gets through clearly. Sardines also contain CoQ10, coenzyme Q10, which is a compound that lives inside your mitochondria. Your mitochondria are the tiny power plants inside every cell, and they decline dramatically with age. CoQ10 helps keep those power plants running efficiently, which means more energy available for muscle contraction and repair. Practical tip: choose sardines packed in olive oil or water, not soybean oil. Eat them on whole grain crackers with a squeeze of lemon and some sliced avocado. That combination of healthy fat from both the olive oil and avocado dramatically improves the absorption of vitamin D, which is a fat-soluble nutrient. Twice a week is enough to see meaningful results within 60 to 90 days. Number 3 on our list, and this is where I want to pause for one moment. If you're getting value from this video, if anything I've said so far has surprised you or given you hope, please hit the like button right now. It takes 2 seconds and it helps me reach more seniors who need this information. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. I release new videos every week on natural strategies for healthy aging, and your health is worth 5 minutes of your time each week. Subscribe, hit the notification bell, and let's keep going. Number 3 is eggs, and specifically, I'm talking about whole eggs, yolk included, and I need you to understand why everything you were told about egg yolks in the 1980s and 1990s was not just wrong, but potentially devastating for aging muscle. The egg yolk contains something called leucine, and leucine is the most powerful amino acid for triggering muscle protein synthesis that we know of in nutritional science. Researchers at the University of Illinois conducted a study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition where they had 2 groups of older adults eat egg whites only versus whole eggs after resistance exercise. The group eating whole eggs showed 40% greater muscle protein synthesis despite consuming identical amounts of protein. 40%. The yolk was doing something the white alone couldn't do, and the researchers concluded that the fat, vitamins, and bioactive compounds in the yolk were creating a synergistic effect that amplified the muscle-building signal. Here's something else about eggs that most people don't know. They are one of the richest dietary sources of choline, and choline is essential for the production of acetylcholine, which is the neurotransmitter that actually delivers the signal from your nervous system to your muscle fibers telling them to contract. After age 65, acetylcholine production declines, and the neuromuscular junction, that's the connection between your nerves and muscles, begins to deteriorate. Eggs help maintain and support that connection. Without adequate choline, your brain can send all the signals it wants, but your muscles simply won't respond as effectively. Eggs also contain all of the fat-soluble vitamins, A, D, E, and K2, which work together to support the hormonal environment necessary for muscle maintenance. After menopause and after age 60 in men, testosterone and growth hormone levels drop sharply, and the fat-soluble vitamin profile in egg yolks helps support what remains of that anabolic hormonal environment. I think about my patient Harold, a 79-year-old former electrician from Cleveland, Ohio. Harold had been eating egg whites only for 15 years because his previous doctor had scared him about cholesterol. His muscles had atrophied significantly, he was thin in a way that wasn't healthy, and his energy was poor. When I explained the research to Harold and encouraged him to return to whole eggs, 2 to 3 per day, he was skeptical but willing. 6 months later, he told me he felt stronger than he had in a decade. His inflammation markers had actually improved, and his muscle mass had measurably increased. Harold is now 80 years old and still doing his own yard work. Practical tip: 2 to 3 whole eggs daily is a well-supported intake for most adults over 60, unless you have a specific medical condition requiring restriction. Always confirm with your own physician. The most bioavailable preparation is soft-boiled or poached, as high heat can degrade some of the more delicate nutrients. Pair eggs with a small amount of smoked salmon for a leucine and omega-3 combination that is extraordinarily powerful for aging muscle. Number 2 on this list is something I call the forgotten superfood of the senior world. And if you've been avoiding it, I want you to reconsider everything: edamame and other whole soy foods. Not processed soy protein isolate from a powder, not soy lecithin in a processed snack. I'm talking about whole edamame, tempeh, and traditional tofu. And the difference matters enormously. A landmark meta-analysis from the University of Toronto reviewed 37 separate clinical trials and found that whole soy protein was equally effective as whey protein at stimulating muscle protein synthesis in adults over age 65. Let that land for a moment. Plant-based, inexpensive, widely available edamame, matching the muscle-building power of the most popular protein supplement in the world. Here's why this matters so specifically for aging bodies. Whole soy contains a compound called genistein, which is a natural isoflavone that has been shown in research from Harvard Medical School to activate a specific cellular pathway called mTOR. And mTOR, which stands for mechanistic target of rapamycin, is essentially the master switch for muscle protein synthesis. Flipping that switch is the whole game when it comes to rebuilding muscle after age 65. Most foods nudge that switch. Genistein, in the context of whole soy, flips it meaningfully. Beyond muscle building, soy foods contain something called beta-sitosterol, which reduces systemic inflammation, and magnesium, which is essential for over 300 enzymatic reactions in the body, including the ones responsible for energy production inside your mitochondria. Remember those power plants we talked about? Magnesium is the fuel that keeps them running efficiently, and studies from the National Institutes of Health show that up to 60% of American adults are magnesium deficient, a number that climbs sharply with age. 1 cup of cooked edamame provides 18 grams of complete protein, 8 grams of fiber, significant magnesium, and a full complement of B vitamins that support energy metabolism. Tempeh, which is fermented soy, actually provides a higher protein density, around 31 grams per cup, plus fermentation creates natural probiotics that further reduce inflammation and improve nutrient absorption across the board. Let me share one more story with you. Patricia, 68 years old, retired nurse from Portland, Oregon, a woman who understood medicine but felt helpless as she watched her own strength declining. She was vegetarian and felt that she simply didn't have the protein options available to her. When we shifted her diet to include edamame 4 days a week and tempeh twice a week, along with the other changes we discussed, her physical therapist noted a 15% improvement in leg strength within 3 months. Patricia sent me a card last spring. She'd gone on a hiking trip with her daughter. She hadn't been able to do that in 6 years. Practical tip: steam edamame from frozen and lightly salt it. It takes 4 minutes and requires no cooking skill whatsoever. Tempeh can be sliced thin, marinated in a little tamari and garlic, and pan-seared in olive oil. Pair either food with a source of vitamin C, bell peppers, citrus, broccoli, because vitamin C dramatically enhances amino acid utilization and supports the collagen matrix that holds muscle fibers together. And now, number one, the food that most people over 60 have been told to limit or avoid. The food that generates more confusion, more fear, and more misinformation than almost anything else in senior nutrition. Lean red meat, and specifically grass-fed beef. I need you to hear me carefully here, because I know this is going to challenge things you've been told. I'm not suggesting you eat red meat every day. I'm not dismissing cardiovascular considerations, but I am telling you that decades of blanket advice telling seniors to minimize or eliminate red meat has contributed directly, in my professional opinion, to an epidemic of muscle wasting, frailty, and loss of independence in our aging population. And the science has evolved considerably. Here's what red meat contains that no other food provides in quite the same combination. First, creatine, and not the supplement form, but the natural form found in muscle tissue. Red meat is the richest dietary source of naturally occurring creatine, and creatine is not just for bodybuilders. A meta-analysis published in the Journal of Strength and Conditioning Research found that older adults who increased their creatine intake, even through dietary sources, showed significant improvements in muscle strength, lean body mass, and functional performance. After age 70, your body's natural creatine synthesis drops by up to 40%. Red meat directly replaces what your body can no longer make. Second, red meat contains carnosine, a dipeptide that exists almost exclusively in animal muscle tissue. Researchers at King's College London found that carnosine buffers acid buildup in muscle tissue during exercise, allowing muscles to work harder and longer before fatiguing. More importantly for seniors, carnosine is one of the most powerful anti-glycation compounds known. It literally protects your muscle proteins from the kind of structural damage caused by elevated blood sugar and oxidative stress, two of the primary mechanisms of age-related muscle deterioration. Third, and this is the one that convinced even the skeptics, red meat contains heme, iron, and zinc in a form that is dramatically more bioavailable than any plant source. Researchers at the USDA Human Nutrition Research Center on Aging at Tufts University found that zinc deficiency is present in an estimated 40% of elderly Americans, and zinc is not optional when it comes to muscle repair. It is a required cofactor for the enzyme that actually stitches new muscle protein together after it's synthesized. Without adequate zinc, your body is trying to build a house without nails. You have all the wood, but nothing holds it together. And then there's the iron story. After age 65, absorption of non-heme iron, the kind found in plants, drops significantly due to reduced stomach acid production. Heme iron from red meat bypasses this problem entirely, absorbing at a rate 4 to 5 times higher than plant iron. Adequate iron means adequate hemoglobin. Adequate hemoglobin means your muscles get the oxygen they need to function and recover. Iron deficiency anemia in seniors is profoundly underdiagnosed and profoundly linked to fatigue, weakness, and the kind of functional decline that people mistakenly assume is just part of getting old. I want to tell you about Robert, 77 years old, retired military officer from San Antonio, Texas. Robert was a disciplined man who had followed low-fat, low-red meat dietary guidance for 20 years because he had a family history of heart disease. When I met him, he could barely lift a gallon of milk. His muscle mass had fallen into the sarcopenic range, and despite taking multiple supplements, nothing was working. After a thorough cardiovascular evaluation, because yes, individual health history matters, we incorporated grass-fed lean beef 3 times per week into his diet alongside the other foods on this list. Within 5 months, Robert had gained 4 pounds of lean muscle mass, confirmed by DEXA scan. He stood straighter, he felt stronger, and he told me with that military directness, "Doc, I feel like myself again." At 77, practical tip, choose grass-fed lean cuts, sirloin, tenderloin, eye of round, 3 times per week, with a serving size of 4 to 6 ounces. Marinate in lemon juice or red wine vinegar before cooking, as the acid helps break down connective tissue and improves digestibility. Cook to medium, not well done. High heat destroys creatine and carnosine content significantly. Pair red meat with vitamin C-rich vegetables. A simple side of roasted bell peppers or steamed broccoli increases iron absorption by up to 67%, according to research published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition. And if you have specific cardiovascular or kidney conditions, please review any significant dietary change with your personal physician first. Now here's what I want you to take away from everything we've covered today. I've been practicing medicine for a long time, and the most heartbreaking thing I see is not disease. Disease we can often treat. The most heartbreaking thing I see is a person sitting across from me who has stopped believing that their body can change, who has accepted weakness as destiny, who has given up on the version of themselves that could still walk on the beach, still carry their grandchild, still live on their own terms. And I need you to hear this clearly, from someone who has watched this play out hundreds of times in real patients, with real names and real lives. It is not too late. The research is absolutely unambiguous on this point. Muscle can be rebuilt at 65, at 72, at 80, at 85. The biology is there, the capacity is there. All that's missing is the right information and the decision to act on it. Greek yogurt, sardines, whole eggs, whole soy foods, and lean red meat. These are not exotic foods. They are not expensive. They do not require a prescription. They are the building blocks that your muscles have been waiting for, and the research supporting each one of them is in the description below this video. I've linked the studies so you can read them yourself, share them with your doctor, share them with a friend who is struggling. Knowledge shared is muscle saved. And let me ask you this, because I genuinely want to know, which of these 5 foods are you already eating, and which one surprised you the most? Tell me in the comments. Tell me your age, tell me your story, tell me what you're fighting for, because that's what this channel is about. Not just information, but the belief that your best chapter might not be behind you. It might be the one you're about to write. If this video helped you today, please share it with someone you love who needs to hear it. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, because every week I bring you research-backed strategies to help you age powerfully, not passively. And I'll see you in the next video, because your health, your strength, and your independence are worth showing up for every single week.